In my last video, I had just unboxed and installed the first of 2 swivel mounts in the front of my van. When I thought I had installed the wrong mount on the wrong side, I got so frustrated that I literally found a short pier and took a long walk. But as it turns out, I did install the right mount on the right side. I was just having trouble figuring out how the seat actually rotated. Once I was convinced I did it right, I gave myself a pat on the back and got started installing the swivel mount on the driver's side. Now, when I first started working on my van, I had this vision of being able to spin around in the driver's seat and have a small desktop where I could use my laptop and work while I was sitting at the lake or something. Unfortunately, swiveling the driver's side seat is much more difficult than the passenger side. The latch to engage the swivel mechanism is on the inside versus the outside, which means it's difficult to do while you're standing outside the van. However, it's also difficult to do from the inside of the van, as the steering wheel needs to be tilted completely up and down, and the seat needs to be pushed all the way back or all the way forward. I forget how I got it to work. In my head, I was going to be able to pull a latch and spin the seat around 180 degrees while remaining in the seat, and I don't see any way that's possible with the current swivel mount that I own. I don't regret ordering and installing these swivel mounts, but if I had to do it again, I would probably only do the passenger side. Now, after finishing up work on the van for the day, my wife and I went over to my mom's and had dinner. We were hanging out on the back porch when all of a sudden, I got that feeling. There's a thing about Oklahoma, if you've lived here long enough, you know when bad weather's coming. It starts to smell different, the air just feels different, and you can just kind of tell. So when you get that feeling, it's time to go home and hunker down someplace safe.
Up in one of these boxes. I don't care which one, but let's switch.
Now, for those of you that don't live in the Midwest, when bad weather arrives, the weathermen totally take over television. It's on every channel, every meteorologist shows up. They have radar. They can see tornadoes and bad weather from miles and miles away, hours ahead. They give you lots of notice. They show you exactly where the storms are, what direction they're heading, what speed they're going, and when they will arrive in your area. They also have helicopters in the air tracking the storms, and they have guys on the ground that are maniacs that chase the storms in their cars and stream live so that we can see those things at home on television. It's kind of like watching a weird reality television show. It's exciting and it's kind of thrilling, but it's also a little bit scary. Now, as I was watching the radar, it looked like the storms were overhead, and I didn't see anything out my back door, but then I heard this on the front of my house. That is the sound of golf ball-sized hail. Fortunately, the biggest part of the storm missed us, and all we got was hail damage. We went and checked our cars the following morning, and my Ford Flex took quite the beating. According to my estimate from Progressive Auto Insurance, I have 182 dents on my Ford Flex with an estimate to fix of about $5,000. That doesn't include the windshield, which was also shattered by the golf ball-sized hail. The hail also pummeled my daughter's Chevy Uplander, a car that we're actually trying to sell right now. We only have liability insurance on this car, so we won't be fixing the hail damage, and I had to pay out of pocket to get the windshield repaired. I'm not going to lie, I was feeling a little sorry for myself until the following morning when I logged into work and found out that one of my coworkers lost their house due to the tornado. Another one of my coworkers reached out and we asked what they needed, and at the time they needed drinking water and some food and snacks and just a little bit of consoling. So that's what we offered. We took the day off and drove out to their house and delivered those things. When I was younger, I was never afraid of tornadoes because I just couldn't fathom the fact that wind could actually do damage. But as you're driving through the country looking at uprooted trees and broken power poles, your opinion of whether or not wind can do damage will quickly change. The reality is Oklahoma does have a tornado season, but the odds of a tornado hitting your neighborhood or your exact area is very, very slim. I've lived in Oklahoma for almost 50 years, and I've never received any direct tornado damage. To me, tornadoes are kind of like great white sharks. I don't spend my time thinking about great white sharks. Even when I'm in the ocean, I'm not really worried about great white sharks. But when a great white shark spots you and heads towards you, you might be in trouble.
Tornado on the ground, we believe, right in that. That's why you cannot see it. Look at that. Just incredible. As you can see the dust. Look at the dust being pulled up. There's a field about 1.5 miles from me, and that's where that dust is coming from. And it's being lifted up into the storm as we're going to have to move out to the southeast just a little bit.
With all the weather excitement over, it was time to get back to the van, and specifically back to finishing the floor. Now, I worked on the floor at the beginning of Big Rob's Van episode number 2. I worked on it in 3, and now we're in episode number 4. Pretty soon, this is going to be an entire YouTube channel of just me working on the floor. Now, specifically what I need to do is finish grinding the rust, filling the holes that remain in the floor of the bed, priming the floor, and then putting a final coat of paint on the floor. While I was doing all those things, I had an epiphany. So while I'm sitting outside and literally waiting for paint to dry, I thought I would talk about a quote that my wife mentioned to me today. Now, this is a quote that I've heard before in my life. This quote has been attributed to the writer and philosopher Voltaire from the 17th century. And the quote is that perfection is the enemy of good. Perfection is the enemy of good. Now, what does that mean? I suppose it could be interpreted in a few different ways, but in general, what that quote means is that sometimes the pursuit of perfection prevents us from doing what we can do, which oftentimes is good and good enough. I can tell you that on this project, this paint job is not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. And as I'm looking at the quality of the paint job that I've done, and I've put some effort into the paint job. I have grinded all the rust down. I have sanded the rough areas. I'm putting down primer, and then I will put down paint. So I'm doing what I can do with what I have, but it's not perfect. And that pursuit of perfection has prevented me from doing good. One of the biggest traps I have fallen into personally is comparing my progress, my quality, my materials with other people on YouTube. And that's not always a bad thing. It's good to watch YouTube and watch other videos and see what people have done with their van build. It's a great place to get ideas. It's a great place to learn techniques. I watched a video that showed how to install a Max Air fan, and I installed a Max Air fan completely by watching someone else's video on YouTube. So it's not bad, but what I have found myself doing is comparing the quality of my work to these YouTube videos where I find out, and I don't know that they've hidden this or suppressed this information, but many of the vans that I'm comparing myself to are vans that people had professionally built, professionally converted. Some of them purchased them right off the lot. And there is nothing wrong with that at all. If I had the money to do that, I would do that. If I had a lifestyle that facilitated that, then I would do that. The reality is that this is going to be a weekend travel van. This is going to be a fun adventure van. I'm not going to be retired from work for another 10 years. So I'm not going to be taking multi-week-long trips out to the desert. Sounds like fun, but I just can't do it right now. So with the budget that I have to work with, I have to be able to do a good job. But it doesn't have to be perfect. And I have struggled so much on this build seeking perfection. I have stopped projects, restarted projects. I have bought things and shelved them and bought other things because they're not the perfect fit when I've never tried them. I've never put them in the van. I've never even tried to use them. I just see another video and I think, oh, what they bought is better than what I bought, and then I have bought something else. So it has been, and I realized this, but I didn't really know what was stopping me from moving forward for so long. And to hear those words, perfection is the enemy, or perfect is the enemy of good, really clicked with me. And so I don't know that I ever vocalized the fact that I was seeking perfection, but mentally, I know I was described once at work, we took a personality test, and I was told that not only was I a type A personality, but I was a type capital A personality. I like to win. I like to do the best. I like to do better than other people. I like to succeed. But something that my wife taught me a long time ago is that there is enough room for everyone to win. I believe the way that she phrased it was, there's enough success to go around. And so I had someone in the comments say, why are you plugging another van life channel? Well, because I like their channel. And I have subscribed to 100 van life channels, and there are 5 or 10 that I have really related to, and a few people that I've contacted a couple of times. And it's not about whether their channel's better than mine. Who cares? I want everybody to win. And that is something, there is a joy, an inner joy that comes from that, of letting go of that need to beat other people. Let's all go to the finish line together. Let's all make it to the finish line, and then we're all winners, right? Once you realize that in life, it just makes life a little bit better. I'm always gonna be programmed to be a type A personality. My knee-jerk reaction is going to be type A type response, but that doesn't always make you happy, if you know what I mean. So the other thing, and coming back around to that quote, is I'm painting a floor right now. I'm priming a floor with rust preventative paint. I've got most of the rust up. I've got all the rust I can get up, and I'm putting this layer of primer down. It doesn't look perfect. And when I told my wife how frustrated I was about this, I said, it doesn't look like a factory paint job. It's good, but it's not great. And she said, who's gonna see it? And I said, well, this is the primer, and on top of the primer, later I'm gonna put paint, and on top of the paint, I'm gonna put that mat that I purchased the other day, and on top of that mat, I'm going to put 1/2-inch plywood, and on top of that plywood, I'm going to put vinyl flooring. And on top of that flooring, I'm going to put my furniture. I'm gonna put a sink and a bed and a computer desk area and some shelves. So unless I crash this van and parts are strewn all over the interstate, or someone else buys the van from me and disassembles it, nobody will ever see this part. Nobody will ever see it. And so by her telling me that and reminding me that perfect is the enemy of good, I felt, it's like when you breathe and you let it out, something you've been holding in for a long time. It is empowering, I would say, to tell yourself it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be as good as I can do. And so that's what I'm doing. I've sanded these areas, I've sanded that area. I've got to do a little tiny bit of work right here, clean up. I don't have a paint booth. I have a driveway. I don't have, you know, a lot of the painting tools. I've got spray paint. So is it going to be perfect? No, but I'm going to do my best to make it good. Believe it or not, the primer had time to dry while I was giving that long old speech. I finished priming the entire floor. I finished priming and spray painting. Then I reinstalled the mat that I had originally pulled out. I'm debating moving forward right now with just this mat installed. I know I cut out all that plywood and I have the vinyl sitting here, but I'm just so ready to move forward. And I'm thinking about giving it a try with just the mat installed. So leave a comment below and let me know what you think, if this is going to be good enough for what I'm doing, or if I need to install all the plywood and vinyl as well and keep going. Either way, I've got other projects in the wings, and now that I'm not so focused on things being perfect, things are going to start moving a lot faster. I decided to end my day by trying out something that I purchased for the van. No, not that.